If you want to know the best builds and easiest methods to beat the latest Simon, you are in the right place. With more than 310 hours of in-game experience, I went back to the drawing board and optimized 3 one-shot builds to destroy the Divergent Star. If you want to hit Simon with billions of damage, or specifically 2.1 billion damage or more in the easiest way possible, this video is for you. But for you to beat this guy effectively and handle all of the builds later on, here are the key mechanics that you should know first. Pay attention to this, since this will save you hours of headaches and frustrations. And Simon has 2 new phases now, and there is no way to skip them with raw or straightforward one-shot builds or bypass the fight with immortal setups. Since no matter how fast you are, he can bypass any first strike Picto and take the first turn always. Afterwards, he will do a party-wide 10 sword sweeps that you need to either dodge or parry, forcing players to get good at dodging and parrying. But luckily, you only need to do this once in this specific guide. There are 2 ways of countering this initial attack, and the first one is the old-fashioned parrying, where you will parry the first 7 hits with proper timing. While doing this, you just need to look out for the 8th and 9th hits, but since there's a considerable delay that can bait you and kill you in an instant. At the 10th or last hit, he will summon a sword that you can either parry or dodge, but if you miss it, your party will be wiped and erased from the canvas. Simon's 10th hit attack has a variation, and it is where he will summon a duplicate green sword that doubles the attack hits, forcing you to parry 19 hits in total. The timing is the same though, and you just need to press the parry button twice. Be on the lookout for a green pillar of light at the start of the attack, since if a green pillar appears, he will summon the duplicate sword and you need to parry twice. Take your time and be patient while mastering the timings of Simon's initial attack. And as mentioned, you only need to do this once in this setup. But what if you don't want to parry his attacks? I hear you asking. There's another way, of course. You can take advantage of building your first 2 characters with 10k to 13k plus of HP and slot in the SOS healing tint and shielding tint so you can face tank the attacks without the need for parrying. I did not optimize this tanking build in this setup, but I am just letting you know that this is an option. Let me know in the comments if you want to see a dedicated video for this setup. The last thing that you need to know in phase 1 is that you should never use any shielding Pictos, or else he will steal them from you at the very start of the battle. Time for phase 2, and basically the hardest part is over. During this phase, your main damage dealer can now use shields since Simon can steal them because he needs another turn to do that. But the thing that makes the second phase complicated is that the turn order of your party members is randomized. And this is such a pain when your setup or build requires a specific turn order to operate in the best way possible. I've already killed more than 100 plus Simon at this point, so I am certain that none of the character speed, not the party order, or anything affects the turn order of your party members in phase 2. But after several tests and hours of headaches, the shortcut Picto or Lumina is the only thing that will make your life easier. Shortcut forces the user to go first, regardless of what turn order Simon assigned you. And this is made possible if Auto Death, Shortcut, and Survivor are equipped on the user. Our main damager is the only user equipped with this setup, so we can set up the one-shot builds later on. And until you try it for yourself, you don't have an idea how God-sent this is. Listen to this carefully to avoid hours of headaches. The only way the shortcut will take effect is that if the user has full health at the start of battle, then the auto that Picto needs to drain the life of the user manually. If the character equipped with the shortcut enters the battle with 1 HP, it will never take effect. So make sure that the user has a full HP before entering the combat. The next thing you need to know is the factors that make your damage godly. And this is very important if you are trying this build in higher NG+. The double mark and stay mark Pictos will allow you to retain the mark status effect on the target while performing your one-shot skills. Most of the meta one-shot setups nowadays require multi-hitting skills, so in every hit that a skill lands, you will have 50% chance of retaining the mark status, so ideally, you will want the mark status as much as possible to have an additional damage multiplier. And yes, it is possible to retain the mark status at the end of the skill even for multi-hitting skills, like the one that you are seeing on the screen right now, for maximum damage if you do have a good RNG. And this applies to Maya's Burning Canvas and Luna's Lightning Dance, and you can see the goodness on the screen right now. Not only that, but Roulette Picto or Lumina also comes into play. So that's another layer of RNG. The best case scenario for maximum damage is that you've retained the mark status all the way through the skill and the roulette's 200% damage bonus procs simultaneously, and you do have 50% chance to proc the roulette. If you don't want to deal with this RNG fiasco, no worries about that, I have alternative suggestions later on, so stay tuned for that. One of the ideal builds to destroy Simon in one shot is the Steel Strike Verso build. A build where Verso is obviously the main damager and he finishes the job with his Steel Strike skill. I always remind everyone that if they want the same results, make sure that everything is identical to mine when it comes to the character builds. In this specific setup, we are using Monaco and Lune to deal with Simon's phase 1. Monaco is the main gradient charger during phase 1, so he is equipped with free aim shots AP generation build and gradient gauge charger Pictos. He doesn't need any damage multipliers, and being a gradient charger is his only role in all of the setups in this guide, while Luna is equipped with all of the old and latest damage multipliers such as Feint, Frenzy, and her god tier Esquium weapon to be able to one-shot Simon later on. Phase 2 will be handled by CL, Mayel, and Verso. CL is going to be the turn manipulator and the main buffer in this setup to score the most damage possible. She is built with a free aim shot build, so she can be the secondary gradient charger of the party. Mayel is the main gradient charger in this setup, equipped with a free aim AP generation build with gradient charger Pictos. She is using the Yeverum weapon so she can doubles Verso shield later on for more damage. And of course, the main damage dealer in this specific build is Verso. Saimoso is the best weapon you can have if you want to deal the highest steel strike damage currently. He is equipped with all of the damage multiplier in the world and free aim AP generation Pictos, since he needs to fill his perfection gauge as fast as possible, explaining the heavy lumina he requires. To start the actual method, Simon will do his mentioned 10th hit attack, and let's parry this guy to death. This is a double parry attack, so we parry everything twice. One thing to note here is that you don't really need to dodge the last hit, it's just that I got used to it. But if you want to parry the last attack, you can pretty much do so. This is recorded under expert, so parrying will be easier if you are doing this in lower difficulties. After parrying Simon's attack, Lune will go first since we need to set her up for the one shot. So let her cast Elemental Trick to generate 4 stains. Then let her do normal attacks during her second turn to convert her stains to darkness. And Monaco will have 3 turns in total because of his immense speed and the cheater Lumina combined. His sole purpose is to charge the gradient gauge to level 3 by unloading all of his AP with free aim shots and ending his first turn with a normal attack. He will do the same steps during his second turn to fill 80 to 90% of the gradient gauge. On his third and last turn, make sure to apply a mark status via free aim shots and also max out the gradient gauge. Lune will have her turn once again and consume the gradient gauge for more damage multipliers. She will cast Lightning Dance to deal 400 million plus damage without the whole mark status fully utilized. This damage is more than enough even in NG+, especially since Simon has only 115 million HP on expert difficulty. Skip Lune's second turn, so Simon will now goumash the party so phase 2 can properly commence. When phase 2 commences, our turn order was randomized, but since Verso is equipped with the mentioned shortcut combo at the beginning of this guide, he will go first. During Verso's turn, his goal is to fill his perfection gauge to S rank for more damage multipliers while doing free aim shots and ending his turn with a normal attack. If you have a good RNG, you can fill his perfection gauge during the first turn, but if you fail to do so, you can use the second turn to carefully manage your free aim shots to reach S rank and have enough AP to cast Steel Strike. When the turn order was randomized in phase 2, CL was supposed to go first, but since we have shortcut, she will now go second. CL can do free aim shots to charge the gradient gauge if needed, and then buff Verso with Fortune's Fury for double damage. Do a few shots if needed, then end her turn with a normal attack to refresh the defense down and slow debuff. Maya will dump all of her AP while doing free aim shots to fully charge the gradient gauge and will cast Last Chance to raise Verso shield stacks to 9 to have more damage multipliers. Mayel has shortcut here and it's not needed, and you can just skip her turn if the gauge is already at level 3. CL will go again and will cast Intervention on Verso so he can consume the gradient gauge and cast Steel Strike to end the fight. The raw damage from the Steel Strike and the Simon's duplicate damage is more than enough to one-shot Simon during this phase. This is without the roulette picto and the mark status fully being utilized in this specific recording. I haven't done the proper calculations of Verso's damage since it is kinda hard to track because of the number of hits, but according to the results, we dealt a total of 843 million damage. Assuming Lune and Verso dealt 400 million each, that is a lot of damage without the Roulette Picto. Another instance here from Verso without the State Mark and Roulette Picto is 936 million damage. That's 450 million from Verso and Lune if we divide it equally, which is more than enough to kill Simon permanently. And if you are getting value so far, subscribe to the channel. This guide took a lot of time and effort to make, so liking the video and engaging in the comments helps me more than you can imagine. Coming in hot in the top 2 spot is the Lightning Lune build. It is time for Lune to be the main damager of the party, which she can deal a whopping 1.2 billion damage with the Lightning Dance skill finisher. Mayel and Monoko are now going to be the main party members of Phase 1, and Monoko will still be our main gradient charger of Phase 1. And this time, his Bagataro weapon's burn stacks will heavily buff Mayel's damage. Mayel is going to be our one-shot killer during this phase, equipped with the all damage multipliers without any shield picto. Because if you can remember, you are not allowed to use shields in Phase 1. Phase 2 guys will be Verso, CL, and Lune. Mandatory turn manipulator CL is still heavily used as the main buffer of the team. She is still the secondary gradient charger in the setup, while Verso is the main one. Verso's weapon is really not important in this setup, and he needs to focus on charging the gradient gauge to level 3. Simple and easy. Lune, on the other hand, of course, has all of the damage multipliers in the world, including shield stacks to reach maximum damage. Start the actual run by parrying Simon's initial attack, which is a regular one in this case. You already know this, so I will be fast forwarding this section to save time. Mayel goes first, and she will cast Last Chance in both of her turns to get access to Virtuous Stance and get more damage multipliers from the warming up Picto. Monoko will do the same thing compared to the last method, where he will charge the gradient gauge to level 3 with free aim shots and normal attacks. He will then leave a mark status on Simon to help Mayel's damage skyrocket later on. Mayel will go again and will consume the gradient gauge and cast Burning Canvas. In this recording, I managed to maintain the mark status with the final hit of the Burning Canvas and hit a whopping 475 million damage, and this is without Roulette, Shields, and Fortune's Fury. Phase 2 will commence, and Lune with Shortcut will go first. Let her cast Elemental Trick during the first turn and do a normal attack on her second turn so we can convert her stains to darkness. In this instance, Verso comes next, so he will only do free aim shots and normal attacks to fill the gradient gauge near level 3, or max it out in both of his turns. CL can then inflict a mark status on Simon via free aim shots and cast Fortune's Fury on Lune. Since CL has immense speed in this specific setup, she will have 3 turns in total. Her second and third turns will be used to charge Lune's shield by using Healing Tint on her, giving her 9 shield stacks in total. When Lune finally takes her turn and consumes the gradient gauge, casting a fully buffed Lightning Dance to blow Simon out of his existence. Even without the roulette and the full stay mark damage, you can see here that the total damage is 1.7 billion, meaning Lune dealt 1 billion plus damage, while Mayel dealt 475 million from the initial phase. Again, this is without the roulette and full stay mark damage, and it is possible that the mark status can stay till the combo ends, like the one that I am showing right now. But what if you want to deal even more damage? The Destroyer Mayel setup is still hands down the strongest build of them all, even without damage multiplier farming. You can deal a mind-blowing 2.1 billion damage without the mark status being fully utilized with the Roulette Picto, or deal 1.6 billion damage with a fully marked application without the roulette. Or what if you don't want to deal with the stay mark RNG and focus on roulette instead? I have a Gomach build for you that deals a whopping 1.9 billion damage later on. Just like in Verso's Steel Strike build, Monoko and Lune will be our main guys in Phase 1. Monoko being the gradient charge as usual, and Lune will serve as the main damage dealer of Phase 1. Monoko is equipped with free aim AP generation setup, while Lune is equipped with all of the damage multipliers without the shield pictos. Phase 2 guys will be CL, Verso, and Mayel. CL is the secondary gradient charger like usual, like in the previous setup, and the main buffer and turn manipulator of the party. Verso's Corpeso will now do wonders in this setup, since he can easily pile burn stacks, so Mayel Burning Canvas will hit like an absolute freight train later on, while also charging the gradient gauge to level 3 in the process. And of course, the ultimate destroyer Mayel is finishing the fight equipped with Escium to deal the most serious damage possible and all the damage multipliers in the world, and shield adding pictos. Start the actual method by engaging Simon and doing the mandatory parries for his initial set of attacks. Like the other methods, Luna will go first and cast Elemental Trick to have 4 stains in total and will end her second turn with a normal attack for the darkness stain conversion. Monoko will use the first and second turns to charge the gradient gauge to level 3 with free aim shots and normal attack. You already used to this if you are following the guide so far. Make sure to inflict Simon with mark status during Monoko's third turn and skip to Lune. Lune will then consume the gradient gauge and cast Lightning Dance to end phase 1 with a bang, leaving Simon almost lifeless. Phase 2 will commence and Mael, equipped with Shortcut, will be forced to take the first turn and will cast Last Chance to access Virtuous Stance. She will cast Last Chance once again during her second turn to retain the stance. In this instance, Verso was randomized to take the second turn and he will use both of his turns to unload free aim shots and end the turns with normal attacks to pile up insane burn stacks. While CL will have 3 turns in total because of the cheater and immense speed combined. So you can do more free aim shots to stack even more burn stacks and cast Fortune's Fury on Mael. Unload all of her AP with free aim shots during her second turn and cast Healing Tint on Mael to add shields on her and gain damage multiplier. In CL's last turn, make sure to manage your shots and inflict a mark status on Simon and end the turn with another cast of Healing Tint on Mael. Finally, Mael will consume level 3 Gradient Gauge and will cast Burning Canvas with 9 shield stacks active, Fortune's Fury, and a full damage multiplier, dealing a raw 1 billion damage. But what if the final hit was dealt with the mark status, I hear you asking? With the same method, you are expecting 1.6 billion damage, which is totally nuts. On the other hand, if stay mark did not proc and you equip Roulette instead, we are expecting 2.1 billion damage, which is out of this world. But hey Samurai, I don't want to deal with the stay mark RNG, and I want it to be more simple while dealing tons of damage. I know you're gonna ask, so I got you, my dear viewer, and follow the build that I'm showing on the screen right now. Just change Maya's build so that it matches the Lycorum weapon. The weapon Lycorum will allow you to retain the mark status forever and deal almost 1.4 billion damage with the Roulette Picto active. Or you can follow my Gumaj setup build on the screen right now, which is basically doesn't have any Frenzy, Feint, and Gradient Overcharge Picto equipped, which is of course geared towards Mael's ultimate skill. With the same setup and method, you will fully utilize the mark status since Gumaj is a single hit skill. And if Roulette kicks in, you are expecting 1.9 billion damage. But what if you want to know the best traditional Lumina farming spots to build the setups you've seen in this guide? This video will teach you everything you need to know, so click on it and I will catch you on the next one.